Tucked away in the rolling hills of Bourbon County sits the Colville Covered Bridge, a relic from the 1800s that holds a whole lot more than just history in its weathered old beams. When the sun dips low and the mist creeps up from Hinkston Creek, this pretty old landmark turns into something downright eerie, calling out to them brave enough to cross it and step into the shadows of Kentucky's haunted past. Are you bold enough to face the whispers and spirits that keep the bridge's secrets? Howdy, y'all, and welcome to Kentucky Melody, where we bring you the best of spooky tales right from the heart of the bluegrass. Pull up a chair and dive into our scary stories from Kentucky podcast playlist, where we spin yarns that'll send shivers up your spine and make you think twice about walking through them hollers at night. If ghost stories, old-timey folklore, and hair-raising tales are your thing, go on and hit that like button, share with your folks, and don't forget to subscribe. Your support keeps these stories alive and keeps you in the know for every spooky tale we share. Tucked away in the scenic stretch of Bourbon County, Kentucky, the Colville Covered Bridge sits smack dab in a land rich with history and natural beauty. Now, Bourbon County's known for them rolling hills, horse farms, and green pastures that go on forever, painting a picture of rural Kentucky at its finest. That old bridge stretches across Hinkston Creek, a waterway twisting through the countryside, adding to the peaceful but kinda spooky feel that hangs over the place. Just a short drive from the bridge, the town of Paris stands proud with its old-timey buildings, antique shops, and a community that holds tight to its heritage and tales. It's no wonder, then, that a place like the Colville Covered Bridge, with all its stories and ghostly whispers, has caught the imagination of folks both local and passing through. The land round the bridge is marked by thick woods and open fields that get wrapped up in a light, ghostly mist come early morning and late evening. This natural backdrop sure adds to the bridge's mysterious feeling, with the sound of leaves rustling, Hinkston Creek babbling gentle-like, and the occasional call of a bird breaking the quiet. Come fall, the whole place turns into a patchwork of orange, yellow, and red, giving the bridge a beauty that's as picturesque as it is haunting. The land round here is full of folklore that stretches beyond just the Colville Covered Bridge. Stories of ghostly figures, haunted woods, and strange lights dancing in the night have been passed down from one generation to the next, weaving a tapestry of local legends that keeps locals and travelers alike hooked. With its strong ties to the past, natural beauty, and that hint of the supernatural, this region's a draw for anyone with a hankering for both history and the unknown. The Colville Covered Bridge, setting in Bourbon County, Kentucky, stands as a piece of the region's rich past and a fine example of 19th century engineering. Built back in 1877 by Jacob Bauer, a well-known bridge builder of his time, this 124-foot-long structure boasts a burr truss design, known for its strength and reliability, stretching across Hinkston Creek. Back in the day, this bridge was crucial for moving goods and keeping communities connected, while its cover helped protect the wood from Kentucky's harsh weather. Over the years, the bridge felt the toll of time and rough weather. Knowing how important it was to keep this historic piece standing, efforts were made to restore and preserve it. In 1913, Jacob Bauer's son, Louis Bauer, took on the task of reinforcing the bridge and keeping its structure strong. The dedication didn't stop there. Come 1937, Louis's son, Stock Bauer, led another major restoration to ensure the bridge stayed sturdy and showcased the craftsmanship passed down through the Bauer family. By the late 20th century, worries about the bridge's condition spurred more action. In 1997, a full-scale restoration project was launched to steady the structure while holding on to its historic charm. This involved carefully taking it apart and adding modern reinforcements, blending old-time preservation with the modern engineering so the bridge could stand up to the weather and stay safe for crossing. Today, the Colville covered bridge is more than just a way to get over Hinkston Creek. It's a symbol of Kentucky's commitment to keeping its history alive. It's one of the few covered bridges still standing in the state, showcasing the clever architecture and fine craftsmanship of the 19th century. Folks come to see its rustic red frame, tucked in the scenic Appalachian landscape, and to hear the ghostly tales that have made it a part of local legend for generations. Several ghost stories are associated with the Colville covered bridge. Now, let me tell y'all about one of the spookiest stories tied to the Colville covered bridge, known round these parts as the elderly woman's tragedy. It's a tale that'll make the hair on the back of your neck stand up, especially if you've ever walked through that bridge on a cool, misty evening. Folks say it happened long ago when the bridge was still the main way folks crossed over Hinkston Creek to get from one side of Bourbon County to the other. This poor woman, she was up in her years, known to most in town as Miss Ida May. Now, Miss Ida May was a familiar sight in the community, always toting a basket filled with herbs and wildflowers she'd pick from the woods nearby. She was known for her soft, kind eyes and the way she hummed old mountain tunes as she went about her business. But life hadn't been too kind to her. She'd buried her husband decades prior and raised her children, who had since moved far off to bigger towns. She was lonely, but held on to her routines like a lifeline. One late autumn evening, with the trees dressed in their fiery colors and the sun sinking low, casting long shadows over the fields, Miss Ida May decided to make her usual walk across the bridge. The boards beneath her feet creaked as they'd done 100 times before, and the scent of the creek mixed with the damp chill of the season. Some say she stopped midway, pausing to look out over the water, watching as the last sliver of sunlight danced on the ripples and the call of a distant owl broke the silence. But that was the moment everything changed. A sudden, sharp pain gripped her chest, stealing the breath from her body. They say she clutched the railing, her basket tumbling to the ground, scattering leaves and sprigs of wildflowers across the planks. No one was around to hear her soft, frightened gasp, or the way her cane clattered as she crumpled to the floor of the bridge. By the time someone found her the next morning, her eyes were still open, staring into the dim beams of early dawn as if the bridge itself had captured her final moment. Ever since that day, stories have trickled down like whispers on the wind. Visitors speak of standing on that bridge, feeling an unnatural heaviness pressing down on their chests like hands made of cold air trying to grip their hearts. Some have claimed to hear faint, disembodied voices, like a woman humming a tune that rises and falls with the creak of the timbers. The bravest souls have stood there long enough to swear they've heard a cane tapping against the boards, or the rustle of a basket that ain't there. It's not just idle talk either. More than one local has stepped off that bridge with a pale face and wide eyes, refusing to speak of what they felt. They say there's something about that spot, especially when the fog rolls in thick and wraps the whole place up in its ghostly embrace. It's as if Miss Ida May's spirit lingers, trapped between this world and the next, still wandering that bridge where she took her last breath. Whether she's waiting for something or just trying to keep folks company in her loneliness, no one can say for sure. Now, this next tale is one that sends a shiver down folks' spines whenever it's told round a campfire or whispered about late at night. the story of the hanging incident. It's said to date back to the early 1900s, a time when life was tough and hardships left many with troubled hearts and weary minds. The Colville covered bridge, standing over Hinkston Creek with its sturdy beams and weathered planks, saw all kinds of traffic back then. Farmers hauling goods, families on foot, and travelers passing through. But it also bore witness to something far darker. The story goes that there was a man, name long lost to the echoes of time, who found himself caught in a tangle of sorrow and misfortune. Folks whispered that he'd lost everything: his farm, his family, maybe even his will to keep going. One late night, when the moon was a thin, cold sliver in the sky and the fog crept up from the creek like fingers reaching for the rafters, he walked onto that bridge with a heavy heart and a rope slung over his shoulder. What happened next, only the bridge and the wind can tell for sure. But by the time the rooster crowed come dawn, a passer-by made the grim discovery. There, swinging from the rafters, was the man, silhouetted against the pale morning light, his boots dangling just above the worn boards. The scene haunted those who saw it. The bridge that had once been a path for the living now felt like a gateway for something else altogether. Ever since that tragic day, folks swear that bridge holds on to more than just memories. Walk across it when the air is still and the mist rises from the creek, and you might feel a sudden chill, the kind that cuts right through to your bones. Some have claimed their breath fogs up even in the warmest weather, their skin prickling as if touched by an unseen hand. Others tell of shadowy figures moving just out of the corner of their eyes, there one moment and gone the next, as if the man's spirit still walks the beams overhead, searching for peace he never found. It ain't just old-timers telling these stories neither. Young folks and travelers passing through have come back shaken, eyes wide as saucers, muttering about feeling watched or hearing the groan of the rafters shifting under an invisible weight. And on the rarest of nights, when the wind whistles low through the trees and the moon casts its silver glow across the creek, some say they hear the soft creak of a rope swaying and a mournful sigh carried on the breeze. Now, the last tale has been passed down through the years, a story that leaves folks glancing over their shoulders whenever they cross the Colville covered bridge at night. They call it the Prom night accident, and it's said to have happened way back in the 1930s, a time when jazz music drifted through the air and dances lit up small-town Kentucky like fireflies on a warm summer's night. There was a young couple, sweethearts from the local high school, dressed to the nines for the big dance in town. The boy, known for his charm and a wild streak as wide as the river, drove a shiny Model A Ford. His girl sat beside him, her dress swishing as she laughed, cheeks flushed with excitement. The night was alive with music and the echo of laughter as they left the dance, the glow of lanterns fading behind them as they headed toward the bridge on that narrow country road. It was late, the moon high and watchful, casting silvery light over the landscape. Maybe it was the thrill of the night or the way the road twisted unexpectedly, but the boy drove a bit too fast, the engine humming like a restless spirit. When they approached the Colville-covered bridge, he misjudged the turn, and instead of hitting the entrance, the car skidded and tumbled, plummeting down into the cold, dark waters of Hinkston Creek below. The crash shattered the quiet night, and by the time help arrived, there was nothing left to save. The creek claimed them, leaving behind only ripples and the echoes of what could have been. Since that fateful night, stories have swirled round about the bridge and the strange happenings that follow sundown. Travelers crossing late at night have claimed to see eerie lights shining through the cracks in the old planks, lights that flicker like the beams of headlights pushing through the water's surface. Some say they've caught glimpses of a ghostly car sitting by the entrance, its outline barely there, like a memory suspended in the mist. The soft rumble of an engine, far off but unmistakable, has been whispered about, the kind of sound that makes folks check their mirrors and quicken their step. There are tales from those who've dared to linger a moment too long on the bridge, describing a feeling of anticipation hanging in the air, as if the past is replaying itself just out of sight. And now and again, a shiver will run down your spine when you swear you hear it, a burst of laughter, distant and faint, followed by a splash that ripples through the silence, leaving the night as still and somber as it was on that long-ago evening. So if you ever find yourself on the Colville covered bridge come sundown, take heed of the stillness that hangs heavy, the chill that seeps through even in warm weather, and the sudden, eerie lights that might flicker through the planks. Whether it's the echo of a rope creaking, the tap of a cane, or the low hum of ghostly headlights from a lost night, these stories remind us that some tales are too full of sorrow and mystery to be laid to rest. The bridge stands not just as a passage over Hinkston Creek, but as a place where memories linger and the past whispers through the wood and shadow, reaching out to those who dare to listen. Now, I reckon it's no surprise that a place with such a reputation as the Colville Covered Bridge has drawn its fair share of folks looking for answers in the dead of night. Paranormal investigators, the kind with their fancy gear and restless curiosity, have come from all over, eager to peel back the layers of stories woven into the old wood and shadow. One such group, known round these parts as the Bluegrass Ghost Chasers, has made a name for themselves digging into the supernatural tales that haunt Kentucky's back roads and hollers. These folks come armed with all manner of ghost-hunting gadgets, voice recorders that pick up even the faintest whispers, electromagnetic field meters that flicker and buzz when something unseen draws near, and cameras set to catch the slightest movement or glimmer of a spirit. They've spent long, shivering nights on that bridge, lanterns barely cutting through the mist as they called out into the dark, asking questions that hung heavy in the air. And more often than not, the silence answered back with a chill that made the hair on their arms stand on end. What they've come away with only adds to the bridge's eerie mystique. Recordings that, when played back, carry the ghostly echo of things not heard in the moment. A burst of unfamiliar laughter, sharp and quick, as if from a long-ago dance. A whisper that no one could place, soft and urgent, like someone warning or begging. The EMF meters would light up sudden-like, spikes in energy where none should be, as if the bridge itself held on to the restless spirits of those lost souls. All these findings just pile on to what folks in town already knew, that the Colville Covered Bridge ain't just a pretty old relic of days gone by, but a place where the past clings tight and whispers its secrets to those brave enough to listen. The Colville Covered Bridge, with its haunted reputation, has become a spot that draws in both locals and curious travelers looking for a taste of Kentucky's shadowed past. Its picture-perfect setting, tucked among the rolling hills and woods where the creek runs quiet, holds a certain beauty that's only deepened by the eerie tales tied to it. For those who crave the chill of an old ghost story and the feeling of stepping back into history, this bridge offers something rare, a chance to stand where legend and reality blur. It's more than just a relic from the 19th century. It's a testament to Kentucky's rich tapestry of folklore, where the echoes of the past mix with a touch of the supernatural, reminding folks that history here isn't just written in books, it's whispered through the places that have seen more than their share of life and loss. So, if you ever find yourself walking through the Colville covered bridge as the sun dips below the treetops or standing under the pale glow of the moon, take a moment to listen to the whispers carried by the wind and the creak of the old boards beneath your feet. This bridge, steeped in both beauty and mystery, holds the stories of those who've passed through, some who never truly left. What do you think about the tales surrounding the Colville covered bridge? Do you believe the spirits of those long gone still linger, their stories etched into the very wood? Or do you reckon it's just the power of a good story playing tricks on the mind? Share your thoughts and let us know if you dare cross this bridge after dark. Thanks for joining us today on this trip into the shadows of Kentucky's haunted past. If you enjoyed unraveling the mysteries of the Colville covered bridge, make sure to give us a like, hit that subscribe button, and share your own spooky stories in the comments below. And don't wander too far. Our next video promises more eerie tales that'll keep you up at night. Until then, keep your lanterns burning bright. Watch your step when the mist rolls in, and remember, we'll be seeing you next time, whether you know it or not.